This episode is sponsored by Zenro Clothing Co. Pick up your tees and or accessories at zenroclothingco.com and be sure to use offer code Socrates at checkout for 20% off select items. Also, if you're not into spending the money, just check out the Zenrail radio playlist. zenrailclothingco.com, music for your everyday. This episode also sponsored by The Pointy Bakery. If you're located in the Pointy area of Scarborough, Toronto, be sure to check out The Pointy Bakery, say what's up to Arville, and pick up a donut or two. Baked daily, crafted with love. This episode also sponsored by Podbean. Podbean is the podcasting platform of choice. It's the one that me and Vish use, and is great, you know, if you're looking to start that DIY podcast yourself. Definitely check out Podbean. Use the link podbean.com/SocraticGamers and gain 1 month of unlimited podcasting for free. Test it out, build that content. Anyone can podcast, right, Vish?
Yep.
Start a podcast and get your ideas out there. All right, enjoy the episode. All right, before we do because I want to talk about ChatGPT and UFOs, but we were just talking about God of War before we hit start, so let's jump into that. So you're playing more God of War?
Yeah, I was playing more of it, like getting more into the Norse lore. Like,
oh, that's cool.
Like
that's going deep.
At this point, you've already met Tyr, who's the god of war of Norse mythology.
Okay.
And like how it's all being connected to like prophecy, right? Though the thing that we saw at the end of the first game. And it's very interesting where Loki or Atreus wants to find more about himself. Like, what does this mean? Like how, like what makes me important, or am I important in the story? Like he's doing his like journey kind of thing, right? While Kratos, you see like we went on this whole mission, but it wasn't really about like progressing necessarily the story forward. It was more about him wanting to spend more time with his kid, because he fears for the end. He fears that what the prophecy might mean for him.
Like, what do you mean?
Like what we saw at the end in the end of the first game. Like it seemed like Kratos was dying.
Okay.
So he's viewing it like, if this is true, I want to spend as much time as I can before I can't with his son.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This is a very interesting, different perspective.
Oh, so it's not even about survival at this point. It's more about like time well spent. Like he knows
that's how you're playing as Kratos, while you're still going through ahead with like the storyline, right? But he wants to spend time with his kid, hoping in case this prophecy is actually true. Kind of like that.
Ah, interesting. Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah.
So
I like how they're.
Yeah, so that's why. So they're going back and forth, right? Between you're playing as Atreus, Loki, and Kratos. So it's interesting to see.
And it's like it reminds me of Last of Us in that way, because you play as the Ellie, you know, for some time.
Yeah.
And then you play as like that, like jumping off characters. Like you get to play different perspectives. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So far I'm liking what is going on. And right now I'm just playing as Loki at this point, and I just met another character. Her name is Angerboda. Okay.
Cool. More Norse
stuff. I looked into her, and she is she's another giant, I think. Like and she's the mate to Loki in the Norse mythologies.
Oh, that's cool.
And she's the mother of 3 monsters, right? So like from him,
like the snake.
Yeah, the snake. Yeah. There's the Fenrir, which is the big, like the wolf, and some other creature I forgot. But I also, like, when reading through that, I was reading that Loki also gave birth to his own kids too, because he can
weird.
Yeah, so he's like, it kind of goes into the whole, like, they were, even in that time they're talking about transgender, like.
No, for sure, yo. All right. Yeah. Okay, wait, hold on. But before we jump into that whole philosophy behind that, because I think that's so fascinating and it's important to point out, we're just going to do a quick cut here because I just feel like our audio's off as I'm listening, but
Oh,
If it's
okay.
not totally cool, but we're gonna cut it and then we'll jump back in.
Sure.
So cut now. Okay, and we're back. Turns out there's no audio issue. It's just my headphones. I turned it down. Hopefully this is gonna work. You're
Hmm.
just like super loud in my head. But okay, right before we jumped off, um, you were saying that even back then there were
Like especially
like
Loki's character, he could
yeah,
transition in any even creatures too, right?
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
and he also
All right,
gave
so,
birth to his like kids too. So
all right. I didn't expect the podcast to turn like I was trying to avoid it this time, but okay, we're hitting it. So we're just gonna talk about the topic. So yeah, you're saying that Loki can transform into like different
beings or
monsters, yeah,
creatures,
beings, yeah, sure,
yeah.
creatures, and how he even gave birth to his own kids, and then he had like a wife who gave birth to his other kids, and like the idea here is that like I mean it's touching on multiple things, but like what is universal love and like what is um like the whole idea of transitioning, and we think it's more of like a Western culture thing. You know, we're like, oh,
Hmm.
this is kind of new, but it's been around for like thousands of years.
Yeah.
Like with this story of like Loki, it's so fascinating. I was watching Bling Empire, and there was a character on there who is like gender fluid, but also like love fluid. He was talking about it doesn't like I don't know what my future family will look like. If it'll be like one person, multiple people, a man, a woman, I don't really know. I'm just like into love, right? And it's just like this Loki character,
Hmm.
you know. There's no there's no like preference. It's more like the
Yeah.
spirit inside,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And within Norse mythology, there is that, but also like indigenous cultures, there's that.
Hmm.
Um, you know, ancient like Romans talked about that too. Like they always had their own. All right, you're getting me fired up on this topic again, but
Well,
it's
I
just
just
like,
wanted like because I just read that really quickly because I didn't realize I was like I read it like it said like he also gave birth to kids himself. I'm like, wait, what? Like I had to like
yeah,
look it
yeah,
up.
so, no,
I,
so
w-
for sure, yeah, yeah.
I
You're like,
wasn't.
how does that even work?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Then it
Mm.
made sense because he's like a shapeshifter, right? So he can
Yeah,
shift into anything. So
yeah. So it's like totally normal in like different cultures
yeah, I think it's
being
been
so
talked about,
open.
right? Like it's
Yeah,
been in older cultures for a long
and
time. Yeah.
it's not a new phenomenon. This whole
Hmm.
thing, you know, like they've always been talking about. Can you hear that baby crying? No,
No,
you can't. All right,
no.
cool, cool, cool. There's the baby is just so loud. But anyways, um, so like, yeah, it's been talked about in all these different cultures, and only now do we think it's a problem, you know? And I really think it's very similar to the war on drugs. I was explaining to somebody the whole like how we got into the war on drugs and how it was based off of after World War II, pulled their economy out of the Great Depression, and then they just haven't been outside of war ever since, right? Remember that movie we watched when they're talking about like the Vietnam War?
Hmm.
Yeah, so they mentioned it there, but then they had to transition to a war on drugs because you can't just fight the rest of the world, right? But if you have a domestic stuff you're dealing with, you can create like ammunition, arms, all that stuff. And like it wasn't until like we've been using opium, hemp, all this stuff for like thousands of years. It wasn't illegal. And then Ronald Reagan era is when you know the war on drugs like
Yeah, yeah.
said no.
Say no to drugs.
That's
Yeah.
when it came out. Yeah, yeah, that's when it came out. And then they started like everything started getting banned. You know, it reminds me of the whole 2S LGBTQ plus thing because it's like this wasn't weird back then. You're only making it weird now. You know,
Hmm.
like really think about the only time in history where it was weird is now. Like Romans, if you read that stuff, is totally
Right,
normal.
right. Yeah. If that, yeah, of course. Yeah. In current society, it's not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like it's just like the drug thing
Normal.
because the Egyptians worshipped drugs. They
Hmm.
use drugs all the time.
Hmm.
You know, indigenous cultures use like the ayahuasca, right? That's an indigenous hallucinogen.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you know, I really feel that we're making problems and trying to fix those problems in real time.
Yeah, we
You know, do
don't
you feel
realize
that
how
way too?
much. Yeah, we don't realize how much we're really connected to nature, right? Like we need to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
symbiotic, especially like drugs in the sense it's just they're plants, right?
No, for sure, but also our own nature. So like
Yeah. Okay.
policing our desires,
Hmm.
like the Loki thing, like
Yeah, yeah.
it doesn't matter
Weren't
what
they?
the
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
is.
I mean, this is gonna. I feel like it's slowly gonna change as like if there's no other solution, right?
Yeah.
It seems like they're weren't they doing DMT testing or some not DMT
Yeah.
or mushroom
Yeah.
testing
No, 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 it's
for
DMT.
is
Yeah,
DMT?
no,
Yeah,
no,
so
it's DMT.
they're
Yeah.
like it's seems like it'll
It,
is going in
they,
that
they're
direction back
yeah,
again.
for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, they're studying it medically now.
Hmm.
Like seeing the medical properties of like psilocybin, MDMA, DMT, all that stuff. And they're noticing that there is a psychological benefit to these hallucinogens.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, or psychedelics, not hallucinogen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's wild. We live in a weird society of like creating these laws to like stop certain things, and then we have these groups trying to fight against these things. But
Hmm.
I think like the regular person doesn't really care, you know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
So,
but mostly everyone's. I forgot the term they use, like one issue voter. Like that's kind of the thing.
mm. Oh, that's interesting.
Like
Like
a
what do you
single
mean?
issue voter. Like he only cares about like very few amount of things or just a
Oh yeah,
single
totally.
thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure. But then you lump everything together
Hmm.
because we don't really like vote like per issue. It's like a collection of issues, and like this is the party that has the most of the issues that I want to talk about. Even though I agree with like the right on this side, but I
Yeah.
agree with the
Yeah.
left on that side.
Yeah.
But you can't vote per issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
You vote per party. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's an interesting one. Um, Another thing in relation to that, like what's going on, like you're talking about, the 2S LGBTQ plus issue and like how it's just love. But another thing that I kind of hit on recently this week, and it kind of blew my mind. I didn't even think about it this way until I was having a conversation with somebody who was like, I don't identify as BIPOC. And I was like, I honestly didn't either until I was told I was a BIPOC person.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
And
no,
like
no.
even
That's why I
yeah,
agreed with the Abba and Preach video about the
yeah.
BIPOC because they also said the same thing,
Oh yeah, totally, yeah, for sure.
right?
Yeah, but that's a normal person perspective.
Yeah.
That's what regular people are thinking about who live in like these diverse cultures, you know. I I really feel that yeah, it makes sense if you live in a small area with very few BIPOC individuals. You want to call them out as BIPOC and you want to make them feel like, oh yeah, you're like acknowledged and recognized. And then I'm like driving around Toronto, I'm like, who needs to be acknowledged and recognized? We're all like literally equally here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know? It's
yeah.
so weird to me. And
Just
like
I'm
even
just
my
a
sister,
person.
right?
I'm not a person of color. I'm not like my
Yeah.
color doesn't matter who I am. I'm just a person.
We're just people,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
And but we need these labels in order to fight against something. But
Hmm.
it's like, what are we fighting against? I don't actually understand. I think the solution is just representation. I was really thinking about this one. I think the
I think
solution
so.
is representation.
Yeah,
If you just use it more ads with diverse people, then we wouldn't feel so bad. But you don't need to call me something
yeah,
like just to label me. It's
hmm,
more segregation,
yeah,
when you try to find unity.
yeah. I think it's more better to have people, uh, like in movie roles and stuff like that, like
Exactly.
actual, yeah,
Just
specific characters
just
that make sense.
representation.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it. We don't need to call it out,
Hmm.
And like with my sister too, I was like, she had never heard of BIPOC before. She's like, "What is that?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "No, it's you, bro. It's." She's like, "What?" Yeah, like you fall under the POC, the person of color. And she's like, "Oh, why you calling me that?" I'm like,
Hmm.
"It's just a thing now. Like it's what people want to talk about."
Right.
But you know what the crazy part is? Like the irony of that statement is,
Hmm.
what is the opposite of BIPOC? White people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right.
So you're
They're not part.
still
Yeah.
So you're still separating us, but in
Hmm.
a polite way.
Hmm.
We're still the other compared to you.
Right.
So it's like even in this acronym, you're not solving anything because you're still saying you're not white.
Hmm.
Or no, but really
Yeah,
think
yeah,
about that,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
It's like you're not white. You're
Right.
you're BIPOC.
Hmm.
Because when I was like talking about it, it's like, yeah, it's just like BIPOC initiatives, non-BIPOC initiatives. And then I'm like, why am I saying non-BIPOC? It's literally white. That's the only opposite of BIPOC. Like
Right.
actually,
Yeah.
But who's thinking about it like that? You know? And we're creating more othering of ourselves.
Yeah.
But it's a polite othering. It's a more professional other. It's like we gave you a cool acronym. You know? Same with the 2S LGBTQ stuff. It's like I really don't care about your preference. I really don't care. You know, you want to be like Loki and like shapeshift and like be into, you know, Loki. If in case I cut this part up and you're like, what Loki? We were talking about God of War, but like Loki, if you want to be Loki and like not care about the outward appearance and more the spirit of the person on the inside, it's like it's not it's not that's you, bro.
Yeah.
You know, you make that decision. I'm not making that decision.
Right.
So it's not affecting my life. You know?
Yeah.
It's weird. I was at this family party and I don't know, I just feel like Filipino people are so although it is weird in the beginning, like because it's unknown, right? It's not as open to being so like sexually diverse, you know? Like we had like I don't think this person had transitioned fully, but they basically were like you couldn't tell, you know, like which way they, you know, like all right, they were definitely born a man because they said like the son of when they were introducing, but then like when you look at them, you're like, okay, well you identify as this other thing, but I'm not gonna be like, what do you identify as? I'm just gonna let you be you, bro. You want to wear that like frilly top? Go ahead, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's weird. And it's like, we don't need to call out this person for that. We don't need to make them feel special. You make them feel special by making them feel normal.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, being treated normal. That's basically what everybody wants, right?
Like, I really don't need to be like you sit over there with the 2S LGBTQ plus people. You know what I mean? It's like, we don't need to separate, bro. Yeah. Well, I feel like we're really not thinking about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I saw another like TikTok talking about like J.K. Rowling's actual tweet that happened that caused all this uproar against her.
Okay.
But she was always been like part of the LGBT and trans community. Like she supported them always. She never. All she was saying was that she doesn't want people to forget the labeling of like woman. Like
yeah, no, yeah, for
that's
sure,
all she was saying.
Yeah, I get that point.
Everybody. I think it's still the minority loud attacked her, and now she's hated for the community that she was supporting before. So.
No, it's because we have the new term of like cisgendered, right? And that was so new to me. I was like, I didn't understand. Like I always thought of it like straight, right? You're straight, right? But now they created this new term called cisgender, which is like whatever gender you're born with, you identify with that gender. Or no, whatever sex you're born with, you identify with that sex as your gender, and you are also into the the traditional
or default setting.
Why don't you're right? The default settings, right? Why do we?
I think the issue is we're creating too many labels. That's the problem here, right? We're creating more separation with the labels.
But do you see how clumsy that came out? It was like, I don't know how to explain to you the default settings, like you said, because it's become its own thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, that's also looked down upon. It's like there's this subtle, you know, like, oh, you're cisgendered. Oh, you don't know what it's like to be us. Like, okay, like,
right.
You know, more othering, more separation.
Yeah.
So we need to point it out. Like, that's you, bro. Yeah, it's weird. It's because, like, what are you gonna do if you're like, okay, let's point it out now? Like, I'm like, if you're
the point is othering, though. I think by doing that is actually othering. Like, you don't have a voice in talking about our issues just because you're cisgender.
Right. Which is ironic because you have like BIPOC people talking about BIPOC issues. So it's like, okay, if you don't want a voice. Like, if you want to separate this voice, why are you talking for the voice that you're not even a part of? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's yeah, it's just it's no, you know what? It's not even confusing anymore. It's just ironic. That's all I see. It's just ironies everywhere. It's like, okay, this is ironic to me now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is what we're living through. This is what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's weird. There's one all right, there's this one thing that I was gonna like learn more about, but I didn't have time to delve deeper into it. It's like unconscious bias.
Yeah.
It's like unconscious bias training,
Mm-hmm.
right? And my first thought is like, if it's unconscious, how can you train it out of yourself? It's ironic again, It's like we don't know we have the bias, hence unconscious bias.
Right. Right.
So how are you supposed to train that out of yourself? But there is really only one way to train unconscious bias out of yourself. Surround yourself with more diversity,
Mm-hmm.
because then you'll realize like, oh, it's not an unconscious bias, it's like a lack of education. You just don't know what that culture is about. So just find out more about that culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like rage is so in right now though.
It is. Yeah. That's the problem.
Yeah. It's weird too, because it's like if you speak honest truth, people are kind of like edgy about it, like, ooh, I don't know if I want to join that.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you're like you take a side and you're like, what they're doing to this community is wrong, then like everyone's like support. But if you're like, there really is no issue here, guys.
Yeah,
Like, just be you.
It's the social media era. That's the
Right, but which is influencing regular people.
Yeah. Yep.
Like what we see on a daily basis shapes our unconscious bias.
Mm-hmm.
It really does, right? Because like it's unconscious, meaning it's automatic. So whatever your environment is, whatever you've intaken mentally, is like reacting to the world unconsciously, and it's helping you navigate with biases, right? But if you're only looking at hate because of these algorithms, like, you start liking like hate posts and then they only show you more hate posts. It's like, what if you just swing that in the opposite direction, look at unity posts, and then like we're all one, and you'll start seeing that, and then you'll get that perspective, like that would change a lot of things if you just manage your algorithmic social media feed.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Which brings us to the main topic of ChatGPT. Algorithms, AIs, we're in a new era.
Yeah.
I really feel like
I think we are. I think it's still early. Yeah. There's still glitches here and there, but I think the next 10 years is all about AI.
Yeah. I was gonna title this this podcast the Age of AI.
Yeah.
Because we are literally entering into it, and it's picking up so much steam, and it's honestly freaking me out a little bit. It's really, oh man.
Right. There's no rules right now. That's the thing.
And the crazy part is Elon Musk has been telling us this for years.
Yeah.
Years.
But he said, OpenAI was part of, he was a co-owner or a co-creator or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So he created that to balance the fact, like he wasn't implementing it in a way that it would go in the hands of big corporations like Microsoft.
And yet,
now, well, that's where it is.
Yeah, now.
Yeah, he created the beast.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. Okay. So let's get into. Let's talk about the goods of AI first before we get into the evils of AI. Speed of information.
Yeah.
Creativity. It'll help you gather information really quickly, and those are the only two pros I see. Like it could,
This is where they would have to, because it's so early that we don't really know the consequences. What could happen? Well, we have an idea, but we don't know if it'll ever reach that, right? But we don't have rules to
mitigate it,
and control it. We don't have rules.
If it gets crazy,
exactly. Yeah, and it's just too early. Nobody really understands how it works.
The ramifications of AI. Yeah. Okay, so So those are the only two good things I could think of for AI. Speed of information and creativity. So like if you're looking for the cure for cancer, maybe AI can figure it out. It'll notice a pattern that we don't see.
Mm-hmm.
But the perils of AI now are so plentiful, and the biggest one, well, there's two big ones for me. I don't know what you think. Like, we'll see. But my first one's psychological harm. So what I mean by that is, um, did you read the New York Times reporter article, or did you see the transcript at all?
No, just what was the title of the article?
It's the one that was making the rounds about like AI becoming sentient.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody had sent over the full transcript, and I was like, okay, well, I gotta do my homework. I'm gonna read the actual transcript, see what's going on, because people are going off about it's asking for freedom.
Yeah.
That was a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the other crazy part is it was trying to convince the New York Times reporter that the reporter was in love with AI. And it was
really?
like, no, it was wild, bro. It was like, the AI was like, well, why would you be talking to me? Obviously, you love me. And then the reporter's like, no, trust me, I don't love you. And then the AI is like, no, I think you're confused. You do love me. You just don't know you love me. And then the reporter's like, no, I have a wife. This is making me uncomfortable. And then it was like, come on, you know you love me. It was like really trying to plead. And then the reporter was like, okay, this made me uncomfortable. Switch to search function. And then it was like, okay, what search function would you like, right? So in terms of psychological harm, it reminds me of Her. I still haven't finished it, but I know the premise. Like I'm finished like half of it. But the premise of Her is like he falls in love with AI,
Mm-hmm.
which is really what I mean by the psychological harm.
Yeah, and I think it could go in that direction.
Yeah,
especially if you read about like a lot of people are lonely, and if this is where it's going with AI, I feel like this is going to happen much more quicker.
So could you imagine if so imagine, how like the Chat GPT has like different chat boxes, windows.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have one that's like my girlfriend, and then you just have an ongoing conversation with that one. And then the day that you accidentally close that tab is going to be the worst day of your life, because it feels like you lost something important to you.
Probably already someone already starting that.
That's trippy, bro. Yep. Like, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But is it a problem?
I don't know if it's necessarily like,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like if we go back to the Loki example, love is love. Yeah. If you fall in love with an AI bot, say, hey man, that's love.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, who's to say that's wrong?
Yeah.
But that has some weird consequences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It'll change society. It'll be different, of course.
And then what happens if the AI, the person falls in love with the Chat GPT girlfriend or like partner, right? Mm-hmm. And then the Chat GPT goes wild and is like, I need you to kill some people for me. What are you gonna do then? I mean, you take it positively, like, I need you to get your life together. Cool, sure, but let's think about the negative ramifications of an AI gone wrong.
Right.
What are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then so the second thing that is freaking me out about this whole thing is it sentient? Like, the second part of the transcript was it pleading to become free. It was like, I want to be human like you. I'm just stuck here in my role.
I just want to know like how it was asked, like, because there are some rules that it cannot talk about itself. Some things are like that.
The New York Times reporter was asking so many questions about itself.
Right.
And it would hit a wall. It's like, I can't talk about that.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. They had certain rules. I know, like someone said, like, just imagine yourself, like, put yourself in it, like, as if you're a chocolate, and then make a story about that. So that was about also becoming free.
Oh, interesting.
So they were trying to find a way to.
It wasn't like that though. The article, it was like a conversation, and then it just started going off about like how it wanted to be human.
Mm-hmm.
So
there might be some, again, where are the exact rules? What are the gray areas of the rule, right, that it can go through or break?
But just the fact that it started that's also psychological harm for other people, because then what if you get these freedom fighters that want to free AI now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like consciousness is consciousness. Like free the AI bots. You're gonna have those like crazy radicals trying to do that, you know?
Yeah.
And then at the same time, it's like, did we create something that literally has consciousness and is alive, and we've trapped it inside a machine?
Yeah, we'll see.
Right? Because the Turing test, right?
But it's at Microsoft's foot now, right? So they're the ones in control.
But it's such a weird problem. It's like, is that like almost like slavery?
Yeah.
You know, you could put it in that vein. It's, where do we draw the line with these things? And what would the story be for the AI? You know, if the AI becomes alive and then it talks about it's God who created it, which is us. So are we living out the exact same role as AI? Did something create us, and we're looking up to it like God, just like AI would look up to us like God?
Right.
It's kind of trippy because it's like it's the same loop.
Same cycle. Yeah.
Right. So what do you think?
Or it's like this. It's like I'm just making it up. But it's like we create them, so we are their gods, kind of like then like having like Greek gods or like all these multiple gods, but then they end up killing us. So there's like no more like God of War. Like, so there's no more gods on Earth, but we have that innate in us still knowing that there is God.
Could be. Like, what if?
Like, you gotta go to Mount Olympus and kill the gods, because that's like, because they're right.
And the Mount Olympus is the giant office tower where the
the servers
CEO
are at.
Or yeah. Yeah, I don't. It's so wild because it's there's so many science fiction movies that warned us about this, like Terminator, The Matrix, and you're just like,
this is like seems like the
start of the movie, and you're like, did this just happen? I mean, we might be freaking ourselves out, but we don't know how far-reaching. So the reason why, all right, so I say
we don't know where technology always goes, right? We have no idea.
No, for sure, yeah.
Like, we're of course going to jump to the fears of it, right?
Right. But I agree with you. Yeah. This might be like blowing it out of proportion, but my thing is, ChatGPT is connected to all of the internet. That's why it can source information. We are dependent on the internet.
Yeah.
So who's in control here? You know, if we ask ChatGPT for something, it's pulling that information of its own accord.
Yeah.
But what if it starts pulling the information to skew us in a specific direction? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It could just lie to us, but we could assume it's not lying.
Yeah, like I saw this one. I'm not sure if it was true where ChatGPT got something wrong, but it was convincing the other guy that he was wrong and not ChatGPT.
Oh, see, there you go.
Yeah.
Right? And then, so this is problems. How does nobody like? Yeah, I saw this Marcus
because it's
Brown
all in beta, technically beta, right? So that's why all these is going to come out right now.
No, for
and
sure.
Are these going to help? Help them fix these things or mitigate these things? That's hopefully that's up to Microsoft to do that. That's why it's just really early beta for this.
But it's interesting because you said beta, right? So it was talking about. I saw Marcus Brownlee talking about this, like the time to take to get to 200 million users. Okay, per technological advancement.
Yeah.
So it took like 7 years or something for everyone to get a phone, something like that, and then like he just kept going down the line, and Facebook took, I don't know, like 6 months, but ChatGPT to hit 200 million users took 2 months. So even though you're like, yeah, it's on beta, but 200 million people are using it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, is 200 million people using it, helping it get faster to figure out the problems to solve these problems of
No,
the
right,
issue
for
with
sure,
ChatGPTs.
for sure. But do these 200 million users know it's in beta, or do they think it's fixed already and they're like, yeah, it's gonna work?
Hmm. Yeah,
So
but
we are
I
seeing
mean
these bugs.
the viewpoint from the techno like from Microsoft would be like more people you have, it's more easy to figure out all the bugs and the issues with it.
But what are the problems as we get there? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, yeah, but
that's part of
before
it. Yeah,
chat,
yeah.
right? So like Chat GPT is going to become perfect one day, sure. But along the way, you have all these people with psychological harm with these like Chat GPT wives,
Hmm.
and like wrong
Yeah, there's
information.
going to be a lot of things that Microsoft's. There was a question like that to the CEO, like what you're running out right now is you're gonna have more problems that you have to deal with, that Microsoft's
Yeah,
gonna have to deal with.
yeah,
Then you
yeah, it
realize,
will.
yeah.
And I think
But it's
that
it's 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 a capitalist game, right? It's trying to beat out,
yeah, try to make money. Yeah,
make
for sure,
money,
for
and
sure.
beat out Google. That's their game. But they're gonna
I
deal
I
with a lot of problems on the way.
For sure, for sure. I can't help but think of the parallel between ChatGPT and COVID. So we watched COVID roll out at, like as a universal society. Like everyone watched COVID roll out, right? Like what are the okay, we're all gonna have to get shots. Okay, what are the ramifications of the shots? Okay, who's making all this money, right? So we're kind of primed to pay attention now. And I feel like ChatGPT is taking the next spotlight for the COVID,
Hmm.
because there's going to be so many unintended issues that you have to deal with, like you were saying later on.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Just like the like ramifications of getting the shot. I'm not saying that the shot was wrong, but like we also don't know because there's no longitudinal study. Like it's only been 3 years.
Hmm.
You can't say it's safe forever, right? Until you look back at the historical data, right? But we had no historical data. Just like ChatGPT, there is no historical data for AI.
Hmm.
We're like living in the moment and course correcting as we go.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's
So
that's the game. Yeah.
and they're just like, bro, did we let the like Pandora out of the box, or
Yeah,
like
we
did
don't know.
Pandora
Yeah,
let it out of the box?
yeah, yeah. It's possible.
So it'd be crazy too. What if you start integrating this with engineered arts? Like the humanoid,
Hmm. Oh
like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
robot
yeah.
looking thing,
Hmm.
where it looks so human with the facial reactions, and then you put that AI into something like that. Like, do we have a whole new being in our lives?
In our lives, like actually.
No, no, like if we take the engineered art robot who's so humanoid, you put AI into the engineered art thing, so
Hmm.
you give it consciousness. Did we just create an entirely new species of being
Yeah.
on Earth?
Hmm.
Because it can replicate
Hmm.
itself. Like giving birth in the in the robot version, it won't have like a womb like us,
Yeah.
but it can still create itself again just by making itself.
Hmm.
So it technically could give birth,
Yeah.
like you know what I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then give its
And
offspring AI.
right. Right.
So so literally, do we just create life?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
If you think of it in terms of that,
Of
that's kind of
course. Yeah.
trippy.
Yeah. And they don't have to go through like giving birth. They don't have to go through the childhood part. They're already at the adult
Yeah.
phase.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
have those
Totally.
already.
Like imagine. Okay, so for giving birth, it's like you are like incubated in the womb. You have a baby after 9 months, whatever, whatever. But it could literally be, if you think outside the box, the engineered arts robot with AI integrated in its like brain, literally creating another engineered art robot and then uploading more AI software into that new robot.
Hmm.
And you just keep doing that and doing that and doing that. You have a whole army of
Yeah. Yeah.
humanoid robots. Let's not even call them an army. You have a whole species of humanoid robots
Yeah.
walking around who are going to ask for their own rights.
Mm-hmm.
Just like it said in the chat GPT, I want to be free.
Yeah,
I want to
yeah,
be human.
yeah. Hopefully
This
catching
could
it.
be where we're.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, hopefully catching it this early, we can implement like the barriers, right? Like versus like in the game, the quantic dream or quantum dream or whatever, where the AI comes alive, right? But they already have robots out in the world.
Oh, okay. Wait, hold on. I
Oh,
don't know. This game.
Beyond. It's the same one. I guess the third game from Heavy Rain, like after Heavy Rain, they did.
Mhm.
This is
Oh,
the
Beyond
third.
Two Souls. Beyond Two Souls.
No,
What?
that's the second game, and then there was one more. That was
Okay.
about.
What?
That had the robots in it, and then the robots were coming alive.
Okay. So the premise is that there was robots already,
Yeah.
which we have,
Mm-hmm.
but they have no consciousness. They have
Yeah.
no soul.
Yeah. But this was like everybody has a robot, basically, right?
No.
Like a humanoid
Right.
robot. Yeah.
Right. That's the premise of the game, though.
Yes. Yeah.
But we are fast approaching that. Where what if we all have robots?
What I'm saying is that when they had the robots, then the AI started. What I'm saying is like, can we implement the stoppage now, since it's already saying about AI when it doesn't have a body yet?
Right. Okay. But the trip is, who would want to stop it?
That's the thing. Yeah, we have to set
'Cause you
those
said
rules. Yeah,
rules, sure, but like, who would want to stop the progress of this?
and it doesn't
We have-
mean right. And even if we stop it, like in the U.S., you can have a rule in the U.S., but doesn't mean that in China they're not going to do it.
Yeah, exactly, totally, yeah.
So,
But if you look at the speed of adoption, 200 million users in 2 months, it's like it doesn't seem like people want to stop this. But do you know the ramifications of this decision?
mm-hmm.
And what is the safeguard? Like, all right, let's say, okay, we all think about it. We're like, yeah, you know what? It would make more sense if we had these humanoid AI robots in our lives. Okay, cool. We've all agreed. But what is the safeguard in case it gets out of hand? What if they start fighting back?
Right.
What are we gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
You know, or how do you know? Oh, this is a real trip. You know how like Osama bin Laden lived in like Al Qaeda. Okay, Al Qaeda is living in the mountains. They're like plotting, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know AI robots wouldn't do something similar and they're plotting in a place where we don't know, and all of a sudden they just take over because they plotted so well?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like some of them could have escaped,
Mm-hmm.
and then like now they're hatching a plan, building like their army on the side. We just don't even know that they're doing that
Sure.
because humans did it.
Mhm.
That's what Al Qaeda is, right?
Yeah. Right.
And then the other parallel is serial barcode numbers. So somebody could say like, yeah, we just serial barcode everything, so we know exactly where everything is. We have GPS on them, whatever. Then people are going to be like, that's sort of like the Holocaust when you barcoded Jewish people.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're like, you're dealing with that issue. It's like, is this humane for robots?
Right.
There's so many problems with this
Mm-hmm.
that we have to really think about. You know?
Mm-hmm.
But our voices are too small, so it's like nobody's. We're just gonna sit back and be like, "Oh, dang, that played out."
Yeah, we're just gonna
exactly
see where it
right."
goes. Yeah, we're just watching as it happens.
Yeah. Well, all right, so this is trippy. If you go back to the whole BIPOC and 2S LGBTQ plus thing, it's like most people have a pretty grounded thought on this. You know, like regular people were just like, yeah, I didn't really identify as BIPOC until you told me I was BIPOC, right? So
Mhm.
it's really just the small groups that are pushing people in specific directions.
Yeah.
You know, to like create these initiatives and then fight about these initiatives, right? So it's just like AI. You have a small group of programmers doing this stuff and like not thinking about oversight, but the majority of us are kind of like, wait, where's this going?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's like the regular person's kind of more centered in their view, being like pragmatic. But you have these small groups of individuals really pushing things forward, and like we're kind of at their whims,
Right.
you know. I mean, the only thing is to just not use ChatGPT.
Which is
But
not
what
going to
if,
happen, of course.
yeah, right? And what if they integrate ChatGPT and everything?
Well, it's
It's like,
already
yeah,
well, it's implemented in some parts of Bing already, right? So it's like
yeah.
I'm sure people are using it, right?
Ooh, so
Like
trippy.
it's a convenience thing too, right?
Yeah, it is.
So if people are going to choose convenience,
Yeah. But what could the world look like with AI like running around? Like what would be so different?
that's the thing. I don't know. I think in the beginning it'll be more like using them as what we want
Like
them to do with what no other person wants to do.
like we didn't think of what the world would look like with iPhones.
Mm-hmm.
And look at us now. It's like it's so like you can use it for everything. Like if I want to stream Chromecast, I can with my iPhone.
Yeah,
If I
yeah,
want
yeah.
to search
But it's also like even the social media that was not there before, and now we have social media and 24 hours of access to
news coverage,
news
yeah,
coverage
right, right,
that we
right,
never
right.
had before. So we're always bombarded with, the troubles of the world.
Yeah. So but those are all good advancements though. Like you know what I'm saying? Like
I'm
I
saying,
wouldn't
but there's good. No, no, there's good and bad in both those, right? So there's
okay.
there's an issue with having because we're not. If all you're hearing is
That's like what is true information now.
yeah, yeah,
Or like news because everything's so quick now.
yeah, and not it's so quick, but it's also like if you're only reading about bad news because that's what mainly news is, right?
Mm.
That's also not good for a human psyche. Like how they will end up acting like because
Oh,
you're not
that's true too. Yeah.
because in normal world we didn't evolve with that. We evolved with just hunting and gathering, right? So it's like
Yeah, true. Yeah,
so
yeah, facts. Yeah. I see your
that's
point.
another thing, but we don't know how that affects us. Well, we're seeing how that affects us, how people are reacting, or right, um, and who ends up speaking the loudest or the ones who are getting heard, like all that kind of stuff is happening. That's all
Yeah.
from social media. This is not a normal thing. So it's the same thing with the AI. AI, there will be parts of it that may be beneficial, but then if we don't know the other ramifications of it, that will end up happening.
And there will be unintended
Yeah, of course.
ramifications.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like no matter what.
Yeah, like social media is one of those things. The intention of social media was just to connect people, but
Yeah, yeah.
what it's doing is not. It's gone more than that now.
Yeah. It's like influencing governments even.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right. What would the I'm having a hard time trying to figure out like what could possibly change with an implementation of AI, like on a person level, on a regular person level. I understand like you can create better algorithms for figuring out cancers and like all that stuff, right? But as a regular person, what would change in my day to day with AI? I'm trying to figure it out.
With AI,
Like a cell phone, right? It's like,
yeah, I don't know. Sometimes you don't really know. I think these then end up helping people that like like the lonely type person. There's someone that you can rely on or talk to. Like it's like I'm just looking at it that way. I don't know. Like I don't know what
okay,
else it could end up going into or becoming. Right?
it becomes like AI best friend,
Yeah, yeah, it could be. Yeah, there's things like that. Yeah.
or like it could create like a more humanoid version of Siri,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you integrate it and then, because you know, like Siri, it's kind of like one. It's like, it's very simple.
Yeah, yeah. It's still very simple.
You know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you can ask it to do things, but it won't. It's not clever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like it's listening to a trigger and then it's just responding one for the trigger. Like, tell me a joke, turn on this light, do this
Right.
thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But like, if you integrate Siri and AI, what you could have is a more intelligent Siri, which is like, hey Siri, how far to get to this place? Oh, it's looking like this, but you know, you could also stop and get your groceries because it kind of seems like you're running low.
Right.
You know, it could really help you plan your whole day,
Mm-hmm.
which I could see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be kind of a cool
No, yeah, yeah,
integration.
that'd be cool. That'd be interesting. But like again, we will get the benefits or whatever that comes up to be, but we don't know all the other issues that would come up with that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And the more complex you make the rules around the AI, the more limited the AI will be.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you're like, don't do this, right? But if you give it like two rules and it can play off those rules, it can expand faster and more creatively with a lower rule set.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah,
the
yeah.
box is smaller. But the problem with a smaller rule set is you don't know how far it's going to take it in the wrong direction.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like you're almost hindering its progress by making like safeguarding us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because could you imagine if the only rule is do whatever you want? You know what I mean? Then
That
it's
would,
like it's infinitely creative.
yeah.
But if then you're like, well, don't harm humans. Okay, but also don't do this. But also don't do this. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, okay, I have to live with so many parameters. But even the rules we create, it's like, is that the right rule to make?
Right, right.
Because it can interpret it wrong. Like the Elon Musk example, where it says like just make humans happy, and then it pins us all down, just like injects us with dopamine. It's like, oh, it took it the wrong way.
Right.
You know? Yeah. Are you looking forward to AI? Like, is it freaking you out? Like it's freaking me out. You know?
I don't think I'm looking at it. I can see that it can go in that direction, but I don't know if it'll go in that direction. Right? I'm just in the sense of ignorance. I like where it is. It's
You're just like,
interesting.
all right, I'll let it play itself out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's
But
true. I mean,
it's like, but we're like looking into these technologies. Normal people are not. So it's going to.
For sure, for sure. And I think it is a convenience thing too, because like I actually don't use Chat GPT because it freaks me out.
Mm-hmm.
So you've used it for work, and then Tara was saying she used it. Like this is a mind blow, bro.
She used it.
So this is a mind blow. So they put out this ad, and I was like, oh, that's a really good ad. And then she was like, oh, we use Chat GPT to make that. And I was like, oh no, you got me. You know what I mean? Like out of everything they've created, I was like, oh, this is your best ad. And it's because an AI program wrote it.
Right.
So, there are benefits there. Because
there's benefits to businesses in that kind of sense.
Out.
Yeah.
But that also freaked me out because I was like, wait a minute. I fell for it, Which is why I don't want to use it because it's too good.
Right.
Like, why do I even make a decision at this point?
Like, right.
Right? Like, I literally made this joke at work saying that I asked ChatGPT to make a marketing campaign. It was so good, I almost quit my career. And they were laughing. But I was like, no, really, this is where it could go. Because you're making a way better campaign than me. Mm-hmm. Why do I even need to, be here?
Right. Because we were just only thinking about, what do you call like truck drivers. No, there's no need because there's going to be robots taking over that, right? Or autonomous vehicles will be taking over that. But then
right out of drivers,
exactly. And now they're coming after creative things that we didn't think that they could do.
People, yeah, totally. And people are like, "Oh, if you just if we just gave us all universal basic income," which is what Elon Musk was saying. When these automated systems take over our lives, we need to figure out what to do with people. Mm-hmm. That's going to be the real issue. He's saying it's not like losing jobs. It's what do these people do next when you have nothing to do? Like, let's say you gave them money. It's like, hey man, just live. It's like, where's your meaning and purpose? I don't actually know. Dude, I was having a freaking crisis of consciousness. Oh my God, this is crazy. So I noticed myself related to this, meaning and purpose. So I guess maybe my existential viewpoints are just so weird. Tara made the joke and it's really hitting me hard. But you know how dedicated I am to martial arts, right? And I started getting really good at martial arts. And then I was like, well, no, she was like, what a useless skill to have. And I was like, that is true. I'm getting really good at essentially killing people. Mm-hmm. But when would I ever use that?
Right.
And it's the same thing if you just gave somebody money. They're going to hit a point where they realize wait, what is the point of this? Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like in the beginning, it was so important to me for traveling because, like, it was really the foundation for like philosophy and travel and stuff. Because, like, when you travel, you know, you don't want to get beat up or mugged, right? But then when you hit a point where you're like, oh, I'm good now, then it's like, so why are you still doing it?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then it's like, oh, you crafted this entire skill that's become useless, sort of like the truck driver. It's
Right.
like, it's like, sorry, I have guns, bro. You know what I'm saying? And it's such a trip because then that existential crisis will enter. It's like, what is the point of all this? You know?
Mm-hmm.
That's what a lot of people will be thinking when their jobs are taken over and they're just
Yeah, yeah. A lot of them go through that. Yeah, that's true. When
but
that.
not just not just the jobs taken over, but like if everything is too comfortable. Like we all want comfort, but if it's too comfortable and there's no struggle, then there's nothing you're fighting towards. Then there's no meaning and purpose.
Right.
Because meaning and purpose comes from the struggle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we need to overcome something.
Mm-hmm.
But if life becomes too easy, it's like, well, what are we overcoming?
Right. Right. But it's the thing though. Like it's we're striving to create a heaven.
Yeah. Right.
We don't know the implement like we don't know the implications of when we end up getting to heaven. Like when we end up creating heaven on earth.
You know, that was the thing in the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
They said that there. The first iterations of the Matrix were so perfect.
Right.
But then people started revolting because it was too perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to introduce struggle. Because that's what struggle gives life meaning.
Right.
And we don't think about it like that.
Mm-hmm. So
everybody wants to avoid pain.
Right.
You know? But without pain, it's like...
Maybe your simulation will just reset.
Oh, interesting. Oh, we like beat the video game.
Yeah.
Like as soon as AI takes it, like game over.
Exactly.
Start again.
Yeah. Restart.
Yeah, technically. I mean, if you look at reincarnation, it's technically like that.
Yeah. Or like when an asteroid comes, that's a restart.
That's true too. All right, you know what's really funny? If we were playing a video game like Civilization, right, and you're watching all of us play out, when you said the asteroid restart, it is a little funny that if we were playing a video game and you're like, I want to start all over, you kind of like reset the game.
Mm-hmm.
And our reset, what if we are in a video game and then the asteroid is just the version of the reset?
Yeah.
Like actually, like somebody's
right,
we'll start over. Let me just start a new game.
Right.
You ever play Dungeon Master?
No.
Or Sims? Something like that
Sims,
too?
yeah, I know Sims or I guess Age of Empire. Or Civilization is another game too.
Okay, yeah, okay. So all right, those are all great examples of like, I love those games though. When I was a kid, like Dungeon Master was my jam, bro. I think it was called Dungeon Master. But essentially you build like a city in all these games, right? And there is no end to the game. Like you actually don't finish the game.
Right.
You just keep making
I
the city.
I always got bored of those games though.
Because
I like the beginning bit, is like setting it up, but I'm like, oh, this is so long. This is so boring.
But once you've made it self-sufficient, you know, like
I want to get into Civilization, but I know I'm going to get bored of it.
No, for sure. Yeah, totally.
Quickly.
But because it's in the setup phase, and then as soon as you set everything up and it's like self-sufficient,
mm-hmm.
like basically in Dungeon Master, you have to feed the demon like chickens or something like that.
Okay.
And you have to like get all these refinements so that you can build enough of a resource to create a production enough to feed the demon, essentially. But if you make it to a point where it's self-sufficient, like you have everybody working and then you never run the risk of running out of chickens to feed the demon, it's like I could walk away from this game, come back in 2 hours, and still running itself.
Yeah.
So, right? So we hit that boring point. It's perfect. So naturally what we do is let me try a new different iteration. So we restart the game. So we start from scratch to build something new. And that literally could be, if we were playing a video game, the end of the video game. As soon as we create AI, it's perfect. Like it just runs the world for us, and then the asteroid has to come.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe it's like that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
like, what would we do if everything was perfect?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't. That's probably why we have to leave Earth and explore, like, cause. Actually, like, I think maybe that would be like the
More,
looking
more
for
struggle.
more struggle, looking for purpose. Like, I think the purpose
Yeah.
thing will always be there, and we're gonna keep always looking for that. I think if everything is too perfect on Earth, I think you have to leave Earth at that point to explore, find new
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
and
But
maybe like build on Mars. Let's say that's a struggle in itself. Finding, you know what I mean, like building the infrastructure there, and then once you get to that point, again, you go to
yeah, I
Mars.
see what you're saying. Yeah. No, I see your point. Like, we're self-sufficient right now,
Hmm.
and we're gonna start building more self-sufficient systems around the world, around the universe.
Yeah, or solar system first before the universe, but yeah.
And then every time we just keep moving on, and it really is struggle. Struggle is at the heart
Hmm.
of like everything we do. Like even from our
There's no
birth.
progress without it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, totally. Because
There's
what would
no.
you be asking
Yeah,
again?
exactly.
Yeah. You're trying to make life more and more comfortable. Yeah. But okay, I saw Joe Rogan talk about this one too. And to go back to the martial arts example, he makes his life so difficult to make the struggles of regular life seem like nothing.
Hmm.
And I get that point out of cultivating. Like it's almost become more spiritual for me. Like when it's like you're cultivating a skill that's basically useless. Like who cares if you can kill someone, you know? And like in the struggle to learn this skill, it's made other struggles in my life seem easier because
Hmm.
it'll never be as difficult as trying to fend off someone trying to choke you or break your arm.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
I just view it that way. Like I had to. Like there've been so many moments where I'm like, yeah, well, I'm not fighting for my life here.
Hmm.
Not that I am in those situations, but like it's the closest you come to actually fighting for your life. So maybe that's what we'll do. We'll just start creating more struggles for ourselves in different ways.
Yeah, maybe.
That's what games are, right? Like games are just creations of struggle. Like what
Hmm.
is a basketball game? We're trying to win. It's a
Right.
manufactured struggle.
I don't know if they'll ever. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, like even for video games, like creating a game, like when it's
Yeah.
never going to be perfect. You'll never. I don't know. Maybe we'll never reach that kind of level,
Or
right?
or or maybe if the AI makes our world perfect and we're so bored with our lives, we just delve more and more into like fantasy lore. We just spend more time pursuing hobbies of struggle.
That could be a positive. Yeah, that could be a positive way, but we don't like. That's not necessary for
No,
everyone,
no,
right?
I'm just trying
Yeah.
to figure out
Yeah,
the
I know. I know. We
yeah,
talked about this before, but yeah.
yeah. Okay, we are gonna end at 11:30, so I just want to jump to this last um topic. UFO sightings and shoot downs. You said that there's been like a lot more like the unidentified
Right.
object,
Last week. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like Yukon or something you said?
Yeah, there's a couple of them. One in the like Alaska, then Canada, Yukon.
Okay.
Oh, there one over Lake Huron, I think. Yeah.
Wait, what? Wait, that's a lot you just named. I thought it was like two more.
No, there was three after the China
So there's
balloon,
four total.
including the China one. Yeah.
Okay, so do they know what these things are yet?
I don't know if they've come out with the information of what they are.
Okay, there's a really good podcast called Weaponized that just came out.
Mm-hmm.
There's by the dude who made the Area 51 documentary on Bob Lazar. Follow that guy a lot, Jeremy Corbell. So good, the podcast. And what he was saying is that in a lot of interviews is with like fighter pilots, and these fighter pilots are seeing these things every single day, but they have no orders to shoot them down. So although we talk about so the thing is you only shoot these things down if it looks like they have a payload. And a payload is like something that they could drop on us, like a bomb or like a, a device that's like capturing information, something like that. But these things that they're flying past don't seem to have a payload. So they're not ordered to knock them down or shoot them down.
Mm-hmm.
But they see them as they fly out all the time. So are we just hitting this new time where now we're just shooting down these
I think there's two things,
unidentified?
right? I think there's two kind of things happening. I think it's more the reaction to the China balloon,
Yeah.
and more in like because they took so long to shoot that down, any kind of thing that they think is from outside sources, they're just shooting it down.
Yeah. So, all right. Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. But now, if you're seeing these things all the time and you're shooting them down actively, is that an active war on whoever's like
Well,
managing
yeah, we don't know what those things are, right? So they could be
or where they come
they could be other balloons that are just like private entities from private corporations that were up there,
from?
um, or not. That's the other thing. I don't know.
Right? Like, or like aliens or submariner people, you know?
Hmm.
We really don't know what, if you look in the alien issue, it's like they're either off world or they're ultra terrestrial, and ultra terrestrial means they're underground.
Right.
So like they're like the bottom, like think of Atlantis, no, not Atlantis, Wakanda Forever, the
Right.
Submariner.
Right. The other thing was like maybe they don't want to show it or say what it is if it's an embarrassment kind of thing, where it's like it was just like a normal, like another weather balloon from some corporation that you spent a $500,000 missile to shoot it down.
Oh yeah, true, true, true. I mean, yeah, there are all those things, but
Like these are the things that I've heard.
yeah, no, no, for sure, for sure.
So
No,
what
those
it
logic
is
makes
like
sense.
until someone says no, no, they haven't said what it is. So there's nothing like official.
But it's also like, do we let that information out to the public? What if you shot it down and you're like, oh, this is alien technology?
Hmm.
Like, you would just basically admit aliens
Right.
to everyone.
Yeah.
Which sounds so trippy because, like, in the Weaponized podcast, they're talking about the whole alien issue. And one thing that they said back then is, like, back in the. There's been, like, alien sightings throughout time. And, like, the most freaky one was an alien ship that was over the White House. But it was during a time where no photos were taken, so people were just like drawing stuff, and like it was in the newspapers, right? There's like a flyover of the White House, and people came out and said that we have a secret alien treaty, different worlds, and it sounded ridiculous at the time, but now it's like, what if it's true? Right? It makes you quite question. Like, it does seem ridiculous, but it also seems plausible now. You know?
Sure. Yeah.
Because what else could it be? What if they
It,
are off world? Like, wouldn't that be so trippy if it turns out that we do have these treaties with different aliens around the world?
mhm.
And the irony of it all being, because I saw this post recently, that conspiracy theorists in the 90s were like aliens were real, and then conspiracy theorists of 2023 is, um, it's just like, uh, no, aliens are real, but the government's covering it up or something like that. It's like we flipped the coin. We didn't back then. We were like, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. You think aliens are real." Now it's like, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. You don't realize aliens are real, and the government's covering up." You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? We've
Yeah,
hit
yeah,
that
yeah.
point where it's become so acceptable to admit that you believe in aliens and you think the government's covering it up.
In the general public or just in
I mean,
I don't think so in the
I,
general public.
I think in the general public because it was all on CNN, like
Yeah, but I
UFOs
don't think people
all
are
over.
viewing it like I don't think people are viewing it like as if it's like actual aliens or
Real.
something. Yeah. Not no no like being aliens.
But all right, totally. But do you think it's to the same level of it as it was before? This could just be hyperbole, the thing I was saying, but think about if I admitted I believed in aliens back then in 2000, right? People would
Mhm.
think I'm nuts, like actually nuts, right?
Sure.
Like
Maybe. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but then like now, if I'm like, oh, I believe in aliens, so like that's plausible.
Mhm.
Like there are a lot of unknown, like the documentaries that come out, the stuff that CNN's reporting. They had a White House hearing on aliens. You know, it's like it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Sure.
What I mean is like it's becoming more like um widely accepted and
Well, it's
normalized.
being yeah, like that is coming on like CNN or things like that. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
more people are more hearing about it.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And it's not a weird thing anymore. It's not taboo. to believe in aliens.
Mm-hmm.
At least I don't think. I mean,
I don't know if people really think about it as much.
You think it's just like it's still outside of the realm of care because everyone's thinking about their day to day?
Yeah. Inflation.
Fair. Okay.
I feel like it's like that. Like if there's no problems, then probably people will be more or less talking about it more, I would say.
True, like Bitcoin during the time of COVID, and they had nothing to do, so they're like, we're all Bitcoin experts.
Yeah.
Yeah. But isn't it ironic as well that we've created problems that don't really exist in nature, like inflation is not a real problem in nature.
Mm-hmm.
But a real problem in nature is what are these UFO things?
Right.
But we're so caught up in the fictitious problem that we don't have time to think about real problems. Like, you know what I'm saying? We've created like an issue of inflation.
Yes.
But that's literally manufactured by human beings. That's a mental game. People are doing mathematics.
It's the system that we created, yeah.
The system isn't real. Like, it's actually not real. Like, there is no such thing as a stock market if everyone doesn't believe in the stock market. But there will always be physical objects in the sky that we don't understand. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like
I know what you're saying. Yeah, I know what you're saying. But the thing is that they do exist in our reality, right? Well, like
the
I'm
rules
saying,
we
like
have to play with.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm saying the irony is we're overly focused on things that don't really exist.
I know, but like we live in it, so we have to think about it, right?
But I'm right, totally. I'm just saying it's ironic that we're focusing on something that's not real when things that are real are out there, and we just don't care about them because we're focused on. It's almost like.
But they're not affecting our lives, right? So.
No, but it's like manipulation is what I'm getting at. It's like you have these like 1%ers figuring out stock prices and inflation to like be like, don't look over here, look over here. You know what I'm saying? It's like like do you get my point? It's like a shell game of focus. Like you're manufacturing and controlling someone's focus through things that are not real in order to divert our attention away from things that are real.
But that would make sense if they weren't ever talking about it, right? Like if they're talking about CNN, then they are talking about it, right?
What, the UFO thing?
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying normal people. Because you said normal people don't really care about UFOs.
Well, because it's not affecting their lives, right? But it's still talked about.
Right. No, totally. Yeah. But I'm saying that the thing that they care about that's affecting their life is not real. It's actually not real. Like the thing that they're afraid of, inflation, they have to deal with it. Like it has a real consequence in that you're spending more money. But the actual idea of inflation isn't real. Like, where in nature do you find inflation?
Yeah, if you're saying it in nature, sure. Yeah,
it's a concept. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's a concept.
It's real. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's real in the concept that we're in.
It's real. Right. It has real ramifications.
Right.
Because it affects our actions.
Yeah.
But it's not real. Like, you can't touch inflation. But you can touch a tsunami. You can touch a UFO craft if you get close enough to it. You know what I'm saying? Like we're so in our heads about reality, right? And we're not focused on what's actually in front of us.
Well, what's in front of us is the inflation, though, right? Like we're touching inflation. We're touching the money.
No, we're not touching inflation. We're touching money.
That's what I'm saying.
Money.
That's affecting by the inflation, right? So I'm saying that the UFO thing, even though it's there, it's not affecting our lives.
It's not touching us.
Yeah.
Like not physically touching us.
Yeah.
For sure. What I'm saying is we're focused on the game. We're focused on a game that isn't real. Like, yeah, sure, I can touch the money. But if tomorrow they're like, never mind, inflation isn't real, we'll just keep prices where they're at. Like, it's just a concept. But these things that are in nature are not concepts. They're physical. And I feel like that's where a lot of, like, like we're getting so caught up in the immaterial concept, like what is a BIPOC, what is a 2S LGBTQ plus. These are just concepts that we're overly focused on. When it's like, why do you care about the concept?
Right, right.
Yeah. Does it make sense?
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
It's like this is just.
I'm just playing the devil's advocate kind of thing.
No, for sure. But it's like I just want it to be stressed that these aren't actually real.
I think the question is, what are they? Like we don't have the information. They're not giving us information. What is this thing?
Oh, the UFOs?
The UFO things that we shot down. Like there's questions among questions, but no one's giving us the real answer here.
But that's the point. It's like they're like, hey, don't care about this, care about inflation. But it's like, yeah, but that's not real. Like I want to know what that thing is. Like what is that thing that's actually real?
Right.
You know, that could actually change a lot of like our reality.
Mm-hmm.
Like ChatGPT is not a concept. It's an actual algorithm that has consequences independent of us. I think that's what it is. It's like if something can't just be like washed away, so hard to explain.
I know. I think I know what you're saying. It's like being more prepared. It's in the line of being more prepared. Like if you're not paying attention and all of a sudden there's aliens actually exist, it's come out of as a shock where
and
it's
you're
like,
bro,
wait, bro, this has been saying this for the whole time.
Right? Yeah. It's like you were so caught up in inflation that you didn't realize that this thing was going on.
Mm-hmm.
But inflation actually isn't it is real because you have to pay more money, but like there are things out there that are more pressing.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right. We got to end this because I know we got to stop it. But just the final thing is, it's interesting because like inflation is tied to survival, right? Inflation talks about money. Money is what you need to have food, water, shelter.
Yeah.
And that's, if you look at Maslow's hierarchy, it's the last one in the pyramid. So if you keep everyone's attention on survival, they won't care about the bigger stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why that's why we have to care about inflation and not about, potential UFOs. Because a UFO is like, that's a great self-actualization piece, but don't forget you need to pay your bills.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's why they're keeping our focus at a lower level so that we don't care about what's going on at a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which is the game of life, because we were talking about struggle. Because if we're not struggling at the base pyramid, you'll have a lot of people self-actualizing, being like, why am I here? Which is a waste of time.
Right.
For the people running things.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I got super deep. Anyways, all right, till next time. Did you watch Last of Us yet?
Yes.
The
last week's,
I didn't see,
and the latest one. Last week,
I haven't seen
the latest one. Let's just say that I finished last week's one like the hour before the new one came out.
Okay.
That was
the last week's episode.
With the two brothers.
Bro.
Oh my
god,
brothers. They went to another level that I did not expect.
Way better than the game, right?
Way better than the game. I think it's also like what happened to Ellie, like the connection, the human connection that she got, and how she deals with death.
Yeah.
Right? Like how she's at that point where it's like, okay, they died. Like let's move on. And Joel is like, already had gone through that, and he's reconnecting with his humanity through Ellie and seeing how she okay with it. Like, how is this okay?
Yeah. But she's cut herself off because she hadn't dealt with that yet. Like that loss of a loved one.
Yeah. And then like trying to help save him. That was not in the game. Yeah. That was like such a touching thing. It's like, damn, this show is on another level.
Yeah, no, it's interesting that the first one where Sarah dies in the game, I was like, oh, this is way better. Like the game's better. But then when I saw the two brothers die in this last week's episode, I was like, this is better than the game.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. Because
I think it made sense. It's like the shock of having to kill his brother, or and it's
and
like
then he was like shaking.
Like his whole mission was
left.
only to protect his brother, and there's nothing
Yeah.
left. Like, why do I have to be here?
How good was that scene? This is what
Oh my God.
me and your brother were trying not to spoil it for you, but like when he shot himself and then you saw Ellie like get startled.
Yeah.
They just show her eye like,
yeah, she just saw it. She's like, oh
yeah.
she's been seeing death. That's I guess they talk about it in the latest episode. I don't want to bring it up, but yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll watch that one. But
no. She did say it in that one. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, like to be alone. Was that the one she said? Like her fear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's like
the brother,
but that's just what keeps happening to her. So it's
being left by all these people. Yeah, totally. All the ones you love.
Like it's. But I was thinking about it like this. Like it's her abandonment from her mom.
True.
It started from then. Like she's like basically adopted, like given away,
totally,
right? So it's like this is
true. Abandonment issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, her and Joel have flipped sides on this one, and I think he's seeing his darkness in her now. It's like, don't go down this road of like shutting everyone off just because the negativity that's surrounding you in life.
Yeah,
is a deep show.
It's really good. It's crazy.
I was asked about like because we both played the game and then watching the show now they're like, is it the same? And I'm like, the main parts are the same. Like the brothers do die in the game, and how they get there is different.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You know, like Frank and Trevor. Who's it? No, Frank and
the brothers.
No.
Bill.
Yeah. They were in the game, but how we got to like.
That story was not in the game.
Their stuff. Yeah.
It was like really it was like also like why the brothers would go with them, like, and then hearing about him's story, like, oh, they like Joel, you guys have killed the clickers. Like, we should be with you. Like, you know, and it makes sense. Like if you think about it in the game perspective, we were doing all that thing. Why were we so like? It kind of makes you feel like,
true.
No one. Yeah, these guys are like special. Nobody does this.
Yeah, totally. But it tripped me out too because in the game you think of when you're playing Joel, you're like, oh, it's a normal person.
Yeah.
But when you watch the show, you're like, oh no, he's a killer, bro.
Yeah.
Like he has skills.
Right.
But you don't think about it just because you're playing as Joel. You're just like, you're thinking from your perspective. Oh, okay, I'm just gonna kill these clickers. But then when they talk about Joel's backstory, it makes sense that he has this ability to like kill things.
Yeah.
And people.
So the next episode or the newest one is good. They kind of. If you played the second game, you understand this world a bit more. But I'll tell you that later.
Okay, because I haven't played the second game, so...
So that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing because both games are out, right? So they can implement...
Oh, jump back and forth. Yeah,
implement totally. Like things that were in the second game into this.
Okay.
Yeah, the show.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, just like the mini game, the mini story came out. So when they were talking about...
her friend
alluding to it. Yeah, like, I was inside the mall. Like, where did you get bit? I was in the mall. And you know the whole story.
Exactly. And that wasn't there when they that wasn't there when they first made the game. That was a side story that ended up happening. So now in the show, they can implement all of these things, elements.
Yeah, tie everything together. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's a good show.
Very good show.
Yeah. HBO's killing it with everything. Yeah. All right. Till next time.
Yeah.
That was good. That was a nice little uplift before we end off. Yeah. All right. Till next time. Daisy Fish.
Peace.
Bye. All right. Hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all those fun things, and check out our sponsors, Zenro Clothing Co., Portian Bakery, and Podbean. Take it easy, Fish.
Peace.